time. Hey, Tom.
All right, we should be live.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay. It is 9 o'clock, and we are going to get on the road here, everybody. Well, welcome. My name is Harlequin Murray. I am your co-host this evening, as I am every week. And I get the honor and privilege of welcoming everybody, especially those who are new here. We're excited to get to meet you and get to know you. But I also get to introduce my enroller and longtime friend, Miss Ellen Winn. For those of you who are not familiar with her, um, she has been with DAC for over 7 years now and is one of the top brokers in the entire company. But she's a native of Dallas, Georgia, not Texas, but she grew up on her family's farm where she lives on part of that property today. But she has a long history of business ownership. She owned a couple of pizza restaurants after having worked for Domino's for many years. And she also currently owns a limousine company and an insurance company. But she also has a strong background in training. When I first met her many years ago, she was actually the national training director for a network marketing company. But anyways, without further ado, Miss Ellen, are you ready to go?
I'm not. I need just a couple more minutes. I did not post
Uh-oh.
the top recruiters. I didn't do that one. So I'm looking real quick to make sure that I recognize everybody who hit that list.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to be quick tonight, and
I
it
know. And
backfired on me. Oh
you're on
no.
it too. I appreciate that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not ready.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, anyways, for those of you who are new with us, we do this every Monday night, and it's a time for you guys to go and ask us questions. I know the corporate office has Zoom meetings every day during the week, but that's during the weekday, and some people have a 9 to 5 job and can't be on that. But and then we do once a month have a corporate Zoom. But with us having this, it's designed for you to bring your questions so that we can answer it for you. But I've been with DAC for a little over 6 years. So between Ellen and I, we've got 13 and a half, almost 14 years now between us. So we've seen or heard pretty much any question that you can think of. It was very hard to stump the two of us combined, but it has happened, but it's only whenever it's something new. As we've been on the Zooms with Corp or with DAC, I think between the two of us, if we've missed more than 10 or 20 the entire time that we've been with the company, that would be saying a whole lot.
Right. Hey, Harlequin, speaking of that, I do need another minute if I want to get this right. You want to see if anybody has any questions? You can go ahead and fill questions now. And if it's something
Okay.
that I'm going to be covering, I'll jump in and say we'll get to that in a few minutes.
Okay. And actually, Dominic, it looks like you've got a question. If you want, you can raise your hand or just unmute yourself. And but if you want to, if you feel better typing it in, go right ahead and do that. But I'll let you think. Okay. Let's see. I see you said you're unable to unmute. Can you unmute now? All right. Well, go ahead and type it in, Dominic, and we'll answer your question. In the meanwhile, Ray, you have your hand raised. You want to go ahead? Normally, we have it set up where you can unmute.
Yeah, it was kind of slow, Holly. How you doing this evening?
Doing
Um,
fabulous.
that's good. So I just had a question in regards to the hurdle.
In
I was
regards
able
to, I'm sorry, in regards to what?
the day is it the daily hurdle, right? That's what it's
Huddle.
called.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry, the daily huddle. I'm sorry. Anyway, so when he has the daily huddles during the week, are we? I know he only has it for like 10 minutes. Are we able to ask a question? Of course, in relating to funding or whatever, but are we able to ask a question, or we have to now just take everything to support? I mean, not that it'd be necessarily a support question, but if it's a funding question, um, will he be able to answer all that or no? If that makes sense of what I'm asking.
I don't know if he is wanting to take
I can
questions.
answer that if you need me to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so he did take questions today because today's typically our agent leadership Zoom, but
Hmm.
typically he is not doing questions. What he is doing is allowing people to type a question in the chat, and if it's something that he can answer quickly on there, he will do. Otherwise, he'll direct you over to agent support. The reason being on that is that for those of you that have been watching, not only have the calls been long with the message that was being carried by whoever was doing the Zoom, but really got into some very lengthy Q&A and lots of lengthy discussion by some of our brokers. So he's trying to eliminate that so that we don't have Zooms that run forever and ever, and really wanting to get to the point and make sure that some content is delivered on getting people out and moving and motivating them to having conversations with clients.
Okay, because I know like when I did get on one of the huddles last week, and I think even I'm not sure today, I had put a question in the chat, but I don't even know if it ever got answered. I don't think it got answered, but now I can't even remember what it was that I asked. So,
And we could answer it for you tonight.
well, if it comes to mind, I would definitely raise my hand. So I just want,
There you
that's
go.
all I wanted to know if, he had, opportunity for let people to ask questions. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
I think one thing to keep in mind is a lot of times people were going and asking questions that were specific to one particular client, and it wasn't, if it's a general question that applies to everybody, that's one thing. But if it's something about a specific client, a lot of times it doesn't pertain to everybody. So it's just tying everyone up. But they're trying to get people to use support more. But keep in mind, we are very fortunate.
Yeah.
Some of the people on this Zoom are on my team, but everybody is on Ellen's team. If you're on my team, feel free to reach out to me, except for times like last week. It was my mom's 85th birthday, and I had not seen her in several years. So I was able to go and spend time with my mom. So I
Oh, that's
unplugged.
nice.
Yeah, I unplugged, and I know Kevin had reached out to me last week, and he did reach out again today. But normally I am always available and respond within a day, and usually same day. And I know Ellen does the same. So you guys are fortunate that you have the benefit of Ellen and I with all of our knowledge and experience. And if we don't know the answer, we'll let you know to reach out to support.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. It was just like I said, I know for certain my question was related to, it wasn't a client thing, just a typical, just funding or whatever. But I appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you and Ellen for always being available, and allowing us to ask the questions on this call. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that very much.
But if you think about it, if you're successful, then we're successful.
True, true.
So it's in our best interest to help all of you guys out. But, and I will also say a shout out to Tom and Lynette Outen that I got to meet with them on Friday when I was driving back and got to spend a couple of hours with them answering questions and just getting to know them. and I had a fabulous time, and I'm looking forward to seeing them again soon.
Awesome. All right, I am ready to roll. Sorry about that, but thank you for taking those questions there, Harlequin. Guys, I've got some great stuff. I'll be brief as I can, but if you don't already have pen and paper out, you want to make some notes on what I'm about to share with you. Okay, let me get us into screen share mode, and I'll take us through.
Ellen, while you're pulling up the screen share, Dominic did post a question about seeing how many hits your replicated websites receive. And the answer is no, there is not, because we used to have that and it was tracking all of the hits for everybody's website because of the way that our system is set up. So we're not
Yeah,
able
so
to,
we don't have any tracking, period.
yeah. And don't try and put tracking on it because it will mess up um, it'll mess up the tracking of your clients on the DAC side, and you won't get notified when your clients apply for funding and things like that.
That's new to me. I don't know of a way to add tracking to it, Harlequin. So that's
Yeah,
new to me.
yeah, there's some ways that you can go and have it go through another, have your own domain name and track it that way, and it would go and it drops off the cookies on your DAC site.
Yeah, well, I have a landing page on mine. Everything I do, I've built a landing page, so I have a secure site. But if you do the referral link on the click through, it works properly. It works exactly like it should. So
Yeah,
what Harlequin is saying would be leading to someone who is doing it incorrectly. But you cannot mess up the DAC tracking without unless you put in the wrong links on that. So I need to get into the presentation so we can finish up quickly. Okay. All right. So reminding everybody, guys, this is a simple business. It really is. As a DAC broker, you have the ability to bring on as much business as you want, as quickly as you want, because you're not having to gather the documents. You're not having to do any of the underwriting stuff. You're out here just being a business builder and business development, as David said today, and a loan originator, as many of you who are in the financial space call yourselves. You're a loan originator, looking for those clients that need funding and then passing it on to the DAC team. So you forward them over and our team does the rest of the work. So it's really easy to be a broker with us. Many of you are in the space of building your own agency. So I want to do what I always do every week, and that's to congratulate our top recruiters for the week of 9/1 through 9/7. We had quite a few this week. To be listed on here, you had to have 2 or more to be listed by name. So I want to congratulate Homeland Creative Solution Services and Sadiq Solutions. Each had 3 new agents for the week. So congratulations to you two. In third place, we had a tie between DAC Funding Solutions, which is Pam Warnock, Ronnie McKellar, and you, Knowledge Notary LLC. So congratulations to everybody that's team building and getting out there and getting more than 2 in 1 week. I had 1, so I didn't qualify like I have been the past few weeks to be on the leaderboard. So let's go through who actually got certified. Now, these are brand new brokers who signed up last week. Not only did they get started as a new broker for 9/1 through 9/7, but they also have already completed certification. So kudos to Preston Phillips, Frontier Equity Solutions, LeBray Bell, A. Foles, Larry Carlin, Gina Herrera, and HLCS Services. These folks are taking their business seriously. They're out of the gate running hard, and now they are already certified. So let's take a look at some updates. And this is in motion right now. Harlequin and I were on the phone earlier today, and those changes that you and I were talking about then, Harlequin, have already been made. You may have already seen that, but I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So I want to go through some back office updates with you guys and show you how that back office update on the dashboard ties to the compensation plan and what these numbers mean and why it's important to you. So again, if you don't have pen and paper, you need to grab it. or you're going to be going, what did she say? All right, so this is a screenshot of the dashboard. Once you've logged into your DAC back office, okay, at the top of the dashboard, it tells you whether you are a certified broker or not, and it also tells you what your rank is. Now, if you're not certified, that means that you are a referral partner. I took this screenshot from a training page that I've had for a really long time with DAC, so that's why I'm able to do these screenshots. It means you're a referral partner, and it means you're only earning 10% personal commission, and you're not eligible for team override spread or the 5-level pay. So you're missing out on everything if you are not certified as a referral partner. Section 1 personal commission on the compensation document through the agent resource center or the broker resource center. Okay, it shows you what that definition is. The second thing I want you to look at is if you are certified, that means that you're a general agency. Okay, the difference between 10% and 40% is simply going through the certification process. It takes less than 3 hours. I had a new agent enroll today, and she's already gotten herself certified. So if you really want to get this done, go in, get certified, and move yourself from 10 to 40%. And also, when you're certified, it also automatically qualifies you for that level 1 payout on the 5-level pay that's paid each month. Okay, whether if you're, of course, you got to be building a team to get paid on that first level, but you're automatically qualified just by being a certified broker. Okay, all right. The next thing, qualifying customers and total BR. What does this number mean? Well, this qualifying customer, if you look at the chart, this is your personal commission chart from the compensation plan. And if you look at this first column on the left under tier, my screen just went blank. Are you still seeing screen, or did it go black on your end too, Harlequin?
I can see it.
You saw it all the time. It's just my monitor went out. Okay, so this first column shows you the tier level. Okay, qualifying customers goes into this third column where it says number of clients. So for you to have a higher payout than 40%, you have to have at least one qualifying customer. Okay, and that means they would have to have 1,000 in bonus revenue or above to be a qualifying customer on our new pay plan. And this total BR is going to be your bonus revenue, your cumulative bonus revenue from your DAC broker inception date. Okay, for those of you that were here prior to 8/1 when we rolled out this compensation plan, if you had fundings prior to then or you had other clients, those totals were added in and came up with a total bonus revenue, which you would have already received an email. If you're new or haven't had any clients, then that would not apply to you. But that's where you're going to look at those numbers, and that's the chart that you relate those numbers to. The next thing is personal QCBs this month. Okay, what is a QCB? Well, a QCB is qualified certified broker. Okay, what is a qualified certified broker? That means that they have 1,000 in personal bonus revenue over the past 6 months, and this is a rolling number. Okay, that is one way to be qualified. The other way to be qualified is if that new broker is in their first 30 days and they've gotten certified. So anyone that has been in the business for less than 30 days and have already gone through certification, that means they count as one of your personal qualified certified brokers. This count, this top level here, personal qualified brokers, this month is showing you that running total and what you're on track for to earn in the 5-level agency payout, which is section 3 of the compensation plan. Okay. What you had last month is what you expect to earn, how many levels you're going to get paid on the 15th of this month when we get that 5-level payout. So for example, if you had 3 qualified certified brokers in this last month number, that means that you would get paid 2 levels deep. As you can see, level 2, you need 3 personally enrolled qualified certified brokers. If you had 3, you get paid 2 levels deep in your team. If you had 6, you would be qualified for 3 levels deep in your team. And these levels are compressed. What does compression mean? Well, that means that if there are people in your team below 3 levels deep, and there are folks that are not qualified certified brokers, then let's say that you've got a qualified certified broker on the 8th level in your organization, but you're only qualified for level 2. If there's no one between that person on your 8th level that's a qualified certified broker and eligible to earn that payout, it compresses on up to the next level that is a qualified certified broker. So just wanted to give you this quick update on how you can read that new back office, those new back office reports, and help you navigate looking at that and analyzing where you need to be in the compensation plan. Okay, another thing I wanted to talk on tonight is funding questions. You know, if you listen to the 10-year anniversary training that we did a couple of weeks ago, Matt Duhame killed it. He drove the point home on how he handles a conversation on the phone. Well, one of the things that I find myself doing a lot is fielding questions. In fact, I had one call me today, and that's what spurred me putting this training together. I had a referral from one of my Chamber of Commerce members. He is a local banker. He's a commercial banker, and he called me. He said, Ellen, I've got a lady that I can't help. She's got a couple of things and going on with her business and her revenue right now, and I'm not going to be able to help her for a couple of more months, but I wanted to see if you might be able to help her. We had a quick conversation. He referred her number over to me. I started talking to her, and I want to go through with you how I handle a call when I've got an incoming call, because that's really what it was. Matt went through and covered the outgoing calls because he and Nick, his son, are doing a lot of outbound calls where they're calling and looking for the business owner to get the conversation started. And he covered how they get into the fielding the questions. But my questions are more of pre-qualifying the client before we get into, whether I'm going to send them my link or not. So I'm going to point you a couple of resources. And one, we're over the Broker Resource Center, which is available through your back office. Okay. Harlequin mentioned going to support earlier and being able to send stuff there. We really want everything that you're doing to start through your back office. There's a contact support in your back office that makes it so much faster for our DAC support team to track your ticket number and be able to confirm who you are by your agent ID, your enroller, and all of that. It's automatically there if you send your support messages through your back office rather than just emailing them directly, okay? But the DAC Broker Resource Center is there in your back office. And I want you to look under the Biz Funding section. You'll see, you can scroll on down a couple of lines down that page, you'll see the quick reference sheets. And these are the documents that I'm going to reference real quickly. Not going to go through them in detail, but I just want to show you how you can use those documents in your questioning when you're talking to funding clients, okay? Now, this is a screenshot of the documents. When somebody's going through the funding process based on their answers, the first 4 questions that they answer when they start filling out an application on your page, it's going to determine whether they get sent over to Giggle or whether they get sent over to Bank Breezy or whether they don't qualify at all, okay? They answer those first few questions, and you're going to get an email that lets you know there's a Bank Breezy submission started for whatever your client name is, okay? It's going to be from Bank Breezy Submissions, and this first email is from one I took from my email from last week, letting me know that I had a prospective Bank Breezy client filled out the first page of the funding application, and based on their answers, we advanced their application to completion with Giggle Finance, okay? This email that's getting sent to the client and to you as the broker has been it's been tweaked a little bit. So it's a little bit different than how they used to go out. So if you've seen me do a similar training these have been updated, and I wanted to share that with you. Okay. So in this notification, you get the client's name, their phone number, their email, and the name of their company. Okay. And then it tells you what they stated as their lowest revenue. This person said that her revenue was $3,000 using a business bank account. Why did it go to Giggle? Well, even though she has a business bank account, the revenue is too low to go to Bank Breezy, so it got sent to Giggle Finance. Okay. All right. The next one, let's take a look at Giggle. I get this email from the Giggle client. Now I'm going to go over and look at my quick reference sheet. I'm going to go down to the page that says Giggle Finance, as you can see here, and I'm going to study this. And this is for you guys that are new, you've just gone through certification, or maybe you're trying to get back in connection here with DAC and figure out this business, because it's super simple, but you need to be sharp and know where to find the basic stuff so that when you're talking to a client, you come across as a professional, right? As a certified broker. So on this quick reference sheet, you've got Giggle and you've got the minimum requirements, right? Personal or business checking account. Online banking is set up 4 or more months in business. This number is going to be changing to 6. And I want you guys to think of that. And I'll go through some questions in a minute. They got to be doing at least 3,000 monthly sales. Minimal NSFs. What's an NSF? And in non-sufficient funds. They can't have more than 5, or they can't have 5 NSFs or negative days in any of the last 3 months. If they have a current loan, it's taken into consideration. And Giggle does not fund in New York, California, or Oregon. So that's your quick reference. If you get notification someone is sent to Giggle, here's where they fall in. And if you say, well, my client says that they're doing more. Well, if they got sent to Giggle, they got sent there based on their answers. So if the client is telling you something different than this, then have them go back and start the application again, because maybe they answered something incorrectly on the application. Okay. It also tells you about the funding amounts and terms, how much they could get, average payback, and all that. But those are things that I never really get into with the client. I don't position myself as the expert. I always position myself as the originator, and I'm here to pre-qualify you. That's really a question that our underwriting team would be better suited to answer. That's how I handle every single client. I don't want to be the expert. I don't try to make myself the expert, and I don't try to position myself as the expert with the client, because then the client wants me to be in the middle of the application process, and I want to just back up and get out of their way completely. This next email is from my client today, where the Bank Breezy application got started, and based on their answers and the fact that they stated their lowest monthly revenue in the last 90 days was $85,000, we showed them what we believe can secure funding offer ranging from $63,750 to $170,000. And from here, they proceed directly to the Bank Breezy application. Again, the customer's name, their phone number, their email, the name of the company, okay? And a little bit more details there. So that's what to expect when you're getting email notifications. There are more notifications that you're going to receive. That is also included in the quick reference sheet, because then underneath those minimum qualifications, like I just showed here, there's another section under each one that says the process. So go look at what that process is based on whether they went to Giggle, whether they went to Bank Breezy, and you can understand what the sequence of email communication is going to be. Okay. Now, I want you to focus on one of our funding products. We go through in certification, you learn about our core rate, you learn about our flex rate, you learn about Giggle and all these basic funding products that we have. And it's good to know all of these details, but guys, if you'll keep it as simple as learning what the basics are on our flex rate funding, let the funding team worry about the rest of it. You don't need to know all of the details of whether they're going to qualify for core rate or flex rate or any of that. Our funding team handles that for you. So just know that they need to have a business checking account, right here. They're doing online banking is set up because we're going to automatically withdraw their payment either daily or weekly. And we're going to automatically deposit their money into that account when they get funded. They need to be in business 6 months or more, be doing 15,000 or more in monthly sales with an owner FICO score 550 or better. Again, minimal NSF, same thing as Giggle, no more than 5 or more NSFs or negative days in the last 3 months. If there's a current loan, that's taken into considerations, and how many positions we have. Here's a screenshot of the process. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, I had a little bit bigger snapshot on this one. That process shows you what the email notification is. There's a little symbol out here that shows email. That's when you're going to get an email. It gets triggered automatically to you as long as the client filled out a link that had your broker ID number at the end of that link. If they had to manually enter your ID number, you're not going to get any of this automated information because you just exited the automation process by not sending them to the correct link. Okay. Again, your ID has to be in the link that they initially fill out, and it automatically populates your name and your ID number in the application. If they have to manually enter it, it is not going to be in the automated sequence. Okay. All right. So the next thing, here's how I handle the call. So today, this lady's name was Donna. I was given her name by the referral banking partner, and when I called her, I said, hey, she answered the phone, told me what her name was. And I said, hey, Donna, this is Ellen Winn. I was referred to you by, told her the banker. And she said, oh, hey, Ellen, I was expecting your call. So now I've already got a friendly, warm conversation, right? Because she's working with a trusted banker who referred her to me, who is a trusted resource, right? And she said, hey, I'm running the front counter right now. Is there any way you could call me back at lunchtime? It's a daycare center, okay? And I said, sure. What is lunchtime for you? Tell me a time to call. And she said, 12:30. I said, okay, I'll call you back at 12:30, which I did. I called her back at 12:28. She answered the phone. I said, is now still a good time? She said, it sure is. It was nice and peaceful in the background. So I started asking these questions, okay? Because I needed to pre-qualify her to see if we could help her in the first place. So I said, so Donna, let me ask you a few questions about your business. What type of industry? I didn't have to ask that because I already knew that she was in daycare, and I just asked her, so tell me a little bit about your business, is what I said. So then she told me that she's been in the business for 35 years. She used to own 2 locations. She sold one. She's just down to 1 now. When I'm asking what type of industry, I'm listening to them tell me, and some of these questions that come up may not even be necessary because they may have told me about it when I ask them to tell me about your business. But I haven't read here that we don't fund attorneys. There is an exception occasionally. I believe Harlequin said that she heard Wade tell of one that he had done recently because it was a big firm with multiple attorneys. But we typically don't fund attorneys because they find loopholes in the funding agreements and many times have not paid back what they've borrowed. That doesn't make all attorneys bad, but that tends to be where the lenders are going to do a pushback on attorneys for fear of that loophole, right? We don't do any type of car lot, boat lot, RVs, any of that, motorcycle shops. We don't do any type of used or new vehicle inventory funding, right? It wouldn't make sense because our rates are not bank rates. And we don't fund anything that's considered immoral, such as a strip club or something of that nature. So don't even call on those. Pawn shops are in that questionable too, because they have guns. We don't do gun inventory or any of that. So just be aware of the folks that you're calling on when it talks about industry type. Next thing, how long have you been in business and generated sales? It needs to be 6 months or more. If they're saying, well, I started my LLC 6 months ago, or they may say, well, let's see, I started my business 8 months ago. And I'll say, okay, I always clarify this because I've learned from talking to so many people. I'll say, you started your business eight months ago. Have you been generating sales for 8 months, or was that when you formed your business entity? Because a lot of people think that because they formed their business entity 8 months ago, that that's how old their business is. We're looking for 6 months of revenue generation. Okay. Do you know what your FICO score is? It needs to be 550 or more. And I just asked that question. And if they say, well, I don't know, it's not great. Sometimes I may say, well, you know, we can work with folks that have challenged credit, because we understand that business owners have put their personal credit on the line. And I feel that conversation with that, making them feel comfortable if they don't have a great credit score. All right. Next question. How much revenue are you generating each month? All right. Remember, we got to have at least a 3,000 minimum. So if they tell me they've got a 450 FICO score, I'm going to say, you know, we would love to help you, but you're going to have to come back when your FICO has improved, because our lenders are going to need to see at least a 550 score, right? Or here, if they get to the revenue and they're not doing at least 3,000, I say, oh man, I would love to help you out, but right now your revenue is not quite at our lowest threshold. We've got to be seeing at least 3,000 a month for the last 3 months in a row for you to be eligible for funding. So maybe you can come back and reapproach us once you have that 3,000 or more in monthly revenue. So always turn it into a positive, whatever ends up being a negative here that would turn them down. All right. How much money are you looking for? This is the next question that you need to ask. Remember, our funding ranges from 25% on the low end with Giggle up to 200% or double if they are well qualified and they're doing, you know, 50 or 100,000 or more. They could possibly qualify for up to 200%. So for example, why do I ask this question? If they are doing $25,000 a month in sales and they're looking for 150,000, is that going to fit in that 25 to 200% range? No. 25% of that would be what? 8,000? No, not even that much. Not even 7. Okay. And 200% would be 50 if they're doing 25,000. So if they're wanting to borrow 150,000, I would go ahead and say, I'd say, well, based on your revenue, I know the absolute most that you would qualify for would be 50,000, but chances are you might not qualify for that. I mean, you could qualify for half of the 25,000. If we could get you some money and not all of the 150 that you're looking for, would that be helpful? So I'll go ahead and have that conversation with them right then to, you know, let them know their expectations are way higher than what reality is on what we could potentially offer them. Okay. The next question, does this get deposited, meaning their revenue, does this get deposited into a business or a personal checking account? And here, this question is great because if they're doing it in a personal account, no matter how much their revenue is, Giggle is the only funding option. If they're doing over 15,000, remember the quick reference guides, over 15,000 and it's a business checking account, then that's going to qualify them to continue on with Bank Breezy. Okay. But here's another, when I ask this question, a lot of times they'll say, well, I'm putting some of it in my personal account. I'm putting some of it in a business account. They don't have a streamlined specific account that they're putting money into. Then you got to dig a little deeper and say, okay, well, we're going to look at your business revenue. How much are you actually depositing into that business account? And that's where I'm going to decipher, are they depositing enough money into one of those accounts to even qualify them for possibly a Giggle funding, right? But remember, if they're in New York, Oregon, or California, and they're doing less than 15,000 without a business account, they're not going to qualify at all. So go back to your certification training to remember that. Again, the main purpose of me going through this right now is to get you thinking about what questions you should be asking your clients. All right. And the next one is, hey, are you bouncing any checks? Because remember, too many NSFs or negative days is going to disqualify them. And here's a hint or a tip that if you don't already know this, if the day that someone is applying for funding, if they have a negative balance in their account, they will not get funded. Okay. Too many negative days will hurt them, more than 5 over the past 3 months. But if they're negative the day they want to get funded, it's a no-go, break the deal, killer. Okay. So if you're talking to someone, and I've had this happen, if you're talking to someone and you know they have a negative balance, but they're getting approved for funding, then ask them, is it possible that you can put some money into your account so that you're not a negative balance today when they want to do the bank verification? Because a lot of times they're going to do bank verification through either Plaid or Decision Logic, and there's got to be a positive balance in that account. Okay. All right. And the other question is, do you have any other loans? Remember, too many other positions, as we call it in the industry, can kill the deal. So you want to know that up front. And then the last question I always ask is, all right, how soon do you need this money? Because a lot of times you'll go through all of these questions and you'll pre-qualify someone and they'll say, well, I'm not in a hurry for it. Or, a couple of months from now, I was just kind of seeing what's out there. Then if not now, they don't even need to start the application because our money is not cheap. It's not bank rates. And the whatever they're borrowing, the need for the money or the purpose of the money has got to outweigh the cost. If they're not going to start their project or need this money for 2 months, why would they want to borrow it today and let it sit in a bank account costing them money if they're not going to put that money to good use? Okay. So you always want to ask that before you have them apply. I'll come back to questions in just a minute. I covered last week. We've got a new Relevate MasterCard coming. If you have a Relevate account, you would have gotten an email on this. However, David did announce that they are canceling a lot of the Relevate cards. These cards are not free for Relevate to issue, right? If you signed up for a Relevate card and you've never earned a commission or you've never used your Relevate card, you've never deposited any money into their bank, you cost the bank money. So they're canceling these accounts for folks that have not been using their Relevate card, have not earned commissions, and they're just not going to be sending those out. Don't worry, David's going to come up with a solution on how to get you paid in the event that you're one of those that get a canceled card and then end up getting a funding. They will take care of that. But I just want to let you know in the event that you don't receive that call. And the last slide here, a reminder that we've got new daily corporate call schedule Monday through Friday at 10:30 every morning. We're doing a 10-minute daily huddle. And guys, if you've not been on these calls, they're awesome. They are giving some great testimonials of the fundings that have taken place. So as you're listening, you're going, oh, I didn't even think about that industry. Or I know someone who owns one of these shops based on the industry that they're giving examples of. Plus, if you're taking notes of what is being shared on those calls, guess what? You've got a story to tell. You've got something you can turn around and post on social media and say, my company or our company just helped a local nail salon get $30,000 to use for whatever, because they're typically telling the industry, they're telling how much they got funded for and what the general purpose is. So you can use that as your own story. It doesn't have to be your client. You can say, we just helped. Okay. That's a true statement because we, as you and I, we're all part of DAC, right? And you can use those stories. So that's the end of my slideshow. Let me get up off the screen share here and over to see if we have any questions. If I can get my screen share to, okay, I can't get zoomed. There we go. Got it big so I can stop screen share. All right. Did that stop, Harlequin? Did screen share stop?
No, it
Nope,
is
I'm
not.
still on screen share. Okay. Well, that's weird.
There you go.
Okay, found it. I had too many windows open. All right. I know that was fast and furious, and I appreciate the time. We are a little bit longer than I like to go, but I wanted to open up and see if anybody has any questions on what we covered tonight. Thank you, Kevin. Awesome. Any questions there in the chat, Harlequin?
Yeah, I had answered them, but
Are they
Dominic
something
had
that would be
asked,
beneficial for everybody? Because this chat does not get played on
yeah,
the video replay.
yeah, I was about to tell you what they
Okay.
were. Dominic was asking if a liquor store would be considered immoral, which it is not. We've funded those in the past. And then Kevin was asking, how many months of bank statements do they need to send? And it's usually 3, although some states require 4. And I added in there because I know it was a question he had approached me about. If somebody has multiple bank accounts, like they might have an account for their cash deposits and another one for their credit card deposits, they will need to go and submit both sets of bank statements. And it will, as they go through the application process, they'll put in the first set of bank statements, and then it will ask them if they have another bank account. And you can put, I've had a client that had like 4 or 5 different ones because they had different, they had a main holding company and then other divisions under that. So that does happen.
I'm glad you said that, Harlequin. The client that I just covered in the email today, Donna, she has 3 accounts, right? And I actually went and met with her in person this afternoon because she had been attempting to upload like 5 or 6 times. And I could tell she was really getting frustrated. And I ended up driving across town and meeting her away right down the street from her business. I had her bring her laptop where all of her documents were. We logged in on my hotspot on my phone, so it was a secure network. I got her onto my Wi-Fi network, and we went through it. And come to find out, when she was uploading them all, it kept kicking out an error. The error was because the files were too large, even though everything was in a PDF, because we were trying to load 3 months bank statements of 3 different checking accounts, 3 different voided checks. The files were too big. I personally went through and did it there with her, and it gave me that error. And I went back through and I'm going, okay, I'm going to say no, we do not have any additional accounts. And when I selected no instead of yes, because if you say yes, it requires that you upload additional bank statements. I went back and changed it to no. And when I took no off, it let us proceed. So it was absolutely, the file was too large. How did we handle that? And she asked me, she's going, okay, how am I going to get these other statements in? I said, we're going to walk through that right now. So I went on through. After I got it to proceed to the next part, I handed her computer back. I let her finish out the business owner information, answered personal questions, and then did the signature, and she signed and submitted it, right? I said, the next step is going to be how we're going to submit those other documents. So as soon as she submitted, within about a minute or so, she got an automated email from Bank Breezy saying that her application had been received. And I said, okay, let's go in, let's open up this email. And she opened it. I said, now we're going to hit reply to the email from Bank Breezy. We hit reply, and I said, okay, now I want you to type in a note to our underwriting team. I want you to say, I actually have 3 bank accounts, but was unable to upload them during the application process. Please see attached below. And we attached the other 2 bank statements and the other 2 voided checks to that email, hit send. And now when the funding team comes in the morning, they're going to have her complete package there in front of them. So that's how you do that. Thanks for bringing that up, Harlequin. I had that on my notes and would have forgotten to go into the multiple bank account scenario. Okay. Was there anything else in the chat before we go to Ray's question?
No, other than Ray couldn't hear me. So
Couldn't hear. Let me ask her to unmute.
Yeah, I was having a hard time hearing Harlequin. I don't know what happened. I was listening to your scenario with your client, Ellen. So they don't have, like, when the client is submitting everything on the platform, they don't have like a little box, like like in some apps that you apply online, they'll have like a little box where it's like notes, like you can put and say, hey,
There are notes.
I have to add, I added, I couldn't add any more statements. So, whatever you have to say, they don't have that on that platform.
There is a section for notes, but it's on the previous page where it gives the business owner an opportunity to talk about their business. So once they get over to the upload the documents page there's not a note section. It's upload
Okay.
upload your bank statements, upload your ID, upload your voided check. And
Okay.
do you have more, yes or no? So it just went into a yes or no there.
Okay. Yeah, I just was wondering because that way they would know up
That's
front.
a great idea, though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make note of that and suggest that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. Thanks for the suggestion.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
And Ellen, I know of people who have been able to upload 2 sets of bank statements. It may be that a third one is a little bit too much for the system.
Well, we weren't trying to do the third one. It was only the second set
Oh,
that we
okay.
had uploaded, and because it didn't give us an option to ask if it had a third one. It only asked if we had an additional bank account, and we only uploaded one. But again, those files were too large. So if they're getting an error, and if they have uploaded what was stated to be uploaded, and if always double check to make sure that the documents are in PDF form, not JPEG, because PDF is more condensed than a JPEG. If they've done that, then it's probably that second set of bank statements that they're trying to upload. So just have them say no instead of yes, and reply to the email like we did this afternoon. And that's the fastest and easiest way to get the documents in. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And Kevin says that Adobe has a PDF shrinker for free. I would not recommend that because the lenders get really picky if the documents are modified in any way, shape, or form. So you don't want to open up a possibility of them denying the client thinking that they've modified their documents.
Okay. Yeah. And I don't know if how that works on that. Thank you for that suggestion, Kevin. Don't know how that works on the shrinking and if it does modify the document, but I would be cautious of that as Harlequin suggested. So, okay. All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions or comments tonight, we'll wrap up. Sorry for going long, but I think we had some content that you guys needed to hear. So
Can I ask, is anyone else having problems hearing me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. For some reason, Ray said she still can't hear me.
I saw that. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I talk louder and that's why you can hear me and not Harlequin. All right,
Okay.
guys.
Yeah, I my voice is not as loud tonight for some reason, so I've got a little
Yeah,
bit
Tom
of
says
sore
he can hear
throat.
you. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to get this out. I'll send out the replay. So if you have team members that weren't on here, then they'll be getting a link to the recording. I'm going to send that out here as soon as we get off. Okay. Thanks again. We appreciate you all. Have a blessed evening. Hope to see you on our team huddle tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. at daczoom.com.